Thank God I do voices for a living with a few technical challenges, hopefully behind us.
Really?
I do voices for a living. I'm gonna start my own technology company very soon, though.
Hi everyone, I am Psychic Medium David Maddock, and I am joined by the amazing, wonderful, a great friend of mine now, Matt Hill, the actor, the voiceover artist from Canada. How are you, Matt?
My brother, doing pretty good, man.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
good.
now, like my brother on Ninja Turtles used to say, Matt, if I was doing any better, I'd be standing next to myself. So I'll take
Yeah.
that as a good sign.
Yeah. So, how's life treating you then, Matt? How's
It's good
things?
to be with you, man. Yeah, no, life is uh, beyond technology. Life is great, but I know technology is here to help us as well. So, with much respect for the technology, as well as getting to do this type of thing,
Yeah.
my brother Cowabunga, thanks for being a brother.
No,
And
it's a pleasure.
yeah, just excited to share whatever you want me to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, you are from Vancouver.
Yes, yeah, born and raised.
You was the voice for Kevin Keane, Captain, the game
Yeah,
master in
Captain
90.
Nintendo. Yeah, that was the one that started it all, dude.
Oh,
The
wow.
classic Saturday morning cartoons when where the premiere was in Studio City in Los
Wow.
Angeles, Universal Studios, and so from this Canadian that only knew this stuff from
Yeah.
watching TV or whatever, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I'm on my first show. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that
So,
was my
so
first.
sorry to cut you off then, but I just got excited myself. But in that moment, though, Matt, and being around, like, was you around different artists, actors? Did you see anybody? And how did it feel for you? Did you instantly know this is where I want to be? This is what I want to do with my journey, my life?
Oh, 100%, man. When I was 13, said, well, your life is half over, so if you want to be an actor, you better get it started last. My mom and dad are both transplants from actually from the UK
I
as
was
well.
just going to ask. They're from the UK, aren't they?
Yeah, man. Yeah, my dad was from Yorkshire, and my mom was from the Midlands, so just around
Wow.
where what's that? Birmingham, just outside of Birmingham.
Well, the accent,
Yeah, I
I think
know.
my
I,
listeners will know that I've got the Black Country Birmingham accent
yeah.
just outside of the Birmingham area, but not far at all, and within the West Midlands. So, how did your mum and dad meet then, Matt? Like, how did that come about, and how come you're in Canada then if your mum and dad were from the UK?
My parents were quite a bit older when I was born, so my dad was he went off to the what he was 16 when he went into the Second World War and fought in the Battle of the Pacific and stuff, doing aircraft maintenance and then yeah, when the war finished, I think like a lot of people, they went like, well, hey, what else might be out there, and so to make a long story very short, they ended up immigrating over to Canada, and my dad had a brother who lived in Toronto, and so they said, come on over here, come visit us, and so he was like, "Hey, why not?" I mean, because unfortunately during the war, both his parents passed away within 6 months of each other.
Oh,
So when he got home, he kind of went, "Wow, you know what? I don't have aging parents to look after. Off I go," kind
yeah.
of thing. And so yeah, it was neat. So he met my mom at a party in Toronto, and then they got married, and well, fell in love first and got married, and then
Oh,
they found their way out west. So I think that the adventurous spirit in them. We ended up in Vancouver, and
wow.
which was, I mean, it's such a beautiful place to grow up. Like West Van in particular was like my magic playground because it's right on the side of a mountain. I love running. I love being outside.
Yeah.
Nature was basically my church. And from really early on, as soon as my mom would leave the front door open, I was like gone.
Yeah.
And,
So going back to your first, let's say this first, was this like an acting role that you did?
Kevin, I got when I was 20. But I'd been an actor since I was 13. So, like that, I did lots of auditions and well, actually I got the professionally, the very first gig I ever got was playing Santa's lead elf at the Christmas display
Okay.
downtown. So that was kind of awesome because Christmas is my personal favorite season of the year.
Same, same.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah,
So it was really cool because it kind of matched my personality. And for a 13-year-old to be brought into this world so quickly after the dream had started
yeah.
was, I mean, I was just like, so beside myself with happiness. And
I can just imagine.
oh, well,
And
like you say, because it's one of these things where you look back on it later and you go, we all have these dreams, right?
yeah,
And sometimes it takes a while for them to come to fruition. I was so lucky because the second that I went, all right, well, I got to get this going. Kind of the dream started to arrive, with these
yeah.
gigs, oh
Well,
man, I'm so grateful for that, man.
yeah.
And
Well, I'm a massive believer in that myself as well,
yeah,
Matt. And I think anybody who's watching, and this is part of the reason why I wanted to do these videos, is to show people if you've got a dream, if you've got something that you aspire to be, something you want to do,
yeah,
don't let where you are in life stop you. Just keep pushing forward, hard work, dedication,
yeah,
and just work hard at your craft and just keep going. And I always say there's always going to be knockbacks, but just try and remember that the person that's interviewing you or the audition that you're going for, they might be after one specific person, but you might be another. That doesn't mean that your character's the wrong character. It's
yeah,
just not for what they're after. So never ever let knockbacks or anything hold you back.
yeah.
And then I
No,
want to talk about as well, Matt, with ourselves. I mean, how we met was with one of your friends who put me in touch and whatever else. And I've got to tell the story of how all this come about. And it was unbelievable. I remember doing the reading with you, Matt, and I remember sitting there, and all I kept seeing was like turtles. And at the time, I was like, why am I seeing turtles? And then you was like, yo, bro, turtle brother, I used to be Raphael. I was like, that was like the first time ever in one
oh,
of my,
that's right.
yeah, and
That's what it was. You
you,
got visions. You're like, why am I seeing turtles
turtles,
everywhere? That's
but you
right.
said, yeah, you said it so casually though, Matt. You was like, yeah, no, I was a turtle, I was
I was
Raphael.
a turtle.
I
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
like, whoa, whoa,
Oh,
whoa. And
well, the viewers at home must know, right? That your reaction was like, what? You like the turtles? And you literally turned into like a 10-year-old again, which was
yeah.
so beautiful, man.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny though, Matt? That's probably the first time, and like it's ever happened to me when I've read for a celebrity where it's just took me away from the whole process of what we was doing. And I was like, what? And what makes it more ironic is that that week, and I think I mentioned this to you, me and my wife, Megan, I just started watching the Turtles again. And
Oh,
I
that's
was
right.
like, that
Yeah.
nostalgia. I fancy watching like an
Uh,
old movie or so, and I thought, you know what? I haven't seen the turtle, so I'm watching the turtles, and then 3 days later, I'm reading
yeah.
for the original
Well,
turtle.
what I love too was you kept apologizing. You're like, "Oh my God, I feel so unprofessional, but this is really cool. I'm actually meeting a Ninja Turtle." You're like,
Just to add to everybody who's listening, one, we have done a few more readings since then, but then also during that reading, you'd already had quite a lot of the reading, so it weren't just like at the beginning. I got up. So I just want to know people to know that I was professional with it. But please tell the audience, the viewers, what was that like being Turtle and
I mean, best gig I'd ever gotten on
yeah,
top of all the ones I'd already been able to do,
yeah,
because I don't like follow like even back in the day, I never read the industry papers. I didn't. So a
yeah,
lot of people take, they go like, oh my God, this show is number one or this is that. I just knew that obviously the Turtles were pretty popular, but I'm an actor. I just wanted to get the gig, right? So getting to be able to go through that process and use everything I'd learned through, doing athletics and my running, and then being able to figure out how to do like a backflip for the audition, which was unbelievable, right? So I kind of, because I knew I might kill myself or I might break a wall if I tried to do an actual flying turtle kick at the
yeah,
final audition. But I loved that they were interested in my energy, and
yeah,
so they said, do you think you could learn? And I was like, oh my God, put me in, man. I mean, literally. So when I did the final audition, I kind of did a hybrid like punches and kicks and this is not, and said the lines of the audition, and then did a like basically like a flying roundhouse, or no, sorry, not a roundhouse, like a round off in
Okay.
the audition room, which was not a big space either. But I stuck the landing so solid, and then I remember looking at the producers because they were literally like 3 feet from me at the end, and then I'm like, cowabunga, and I could tell that they were just like, that's our guy, right? So,
Wow.
oh yeah, because I studied Turtles one. When I found out that
Yeah.
like I was getting close to, when they said, are you claustrophobic, or you know what I mean? Are you afraid of, because the turtle suits are very
I
claustrophobic.
was just going to ask,
Yeah.
is that why they asked that question? Because of
Oh
the
yeah. And I
yeah.
understand now because on Turtles number, I think two, one of the actors that they hired for Raph, well, yeah, turned out they flew him all the way to London to do the fittings, right, at the creature shop. And he literally freaked out because he was super claustrophobic,
Oh,
right? So that was one of the first things they asked me when I was getting close to getting the part. Because if I was claustrophobic, they were like, okay,
yeah.
sorry, you can't read for this
Yeah.
anymore, right?
Yeah.
But I understand now because I'm not a claustrophobic person. And
Yeah.
even going through the process of putting, we had like 3 feet of like foam latex rubber,
Wow.
being poured on us. At some points, like I couldn't even, they put these little straws through my nose so I could breathe. And you had to stay totally still because you didn't want to wreck the mold, right? So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, so I had to practice my deep breathing meditation.
Yeah.
Felt
Yeah.
like my heart was beating so strong that I thought, okay, I was like, okay, no, like your stress response is like, I'm gonna die. Oh my God, this stuff's gonna kill me. But then
Yeah.
I was like, no, you're okay. You're okay. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
I mean, just to get a bit more behind the scenes though, Matt, doing a film like that with the exposure that you know it's going to get, like, what was involved in like the shoots? I mean, and then just to talk about the molds that you're talking about, if you've got all this mold being poured on you, you've got to go through all this fitting. How did you move about in these suits? Like, what was it
yeah.
like?
Well,
Did you ever
yeah,
get breaks or yeah?
oh yeah, well, yeah, most days were like probably like, I don't know, 12 to 16 hours kind of thing.
Wow.
And it literally took about 2.5 hours to 3 hours to go from like sort of like regular person, like street clothes, to then being Raphael. And because all the different, the suit, the way it was, that like they just had to put it together in pieces. And then the final part to go on was the head, right? Which weighed, so the whole suit weighed about 80 pounds. Because in that day too, with the animatronics, all the technology was inside the pack, right?
Yeah.
Or sorry, the shell, right? So it was really weird for the first couple of weeks, but then it got really used to like bumping into things. People were really
Yeah.
good about saying, "Hey, Ralph, you're about to like fall off the stage." My puppeteer Noel,
Yeah.
who's just incredible puppeteer, and is actually part of the Sesame Street crew. He was Snuffleupagus actually,
Okay.
but he also was a really great team member with me because
Yeah.
literally I could hear him in my earpiece. And then also too, like if we were about to run into something, we found out pretty quick because we would run into it. There was, oh
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of there was a lot of bumped into walls and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
you get kind of used to it after a while, right? So it's funny, after we finished filming, I would feel kind of naked because I wasn't inside the turtle suit, so it felt really very strangely empowering, which was wild, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Isn't Turtles 3 connected to Japan? Is that the one
yes.
where it's got so did you have to fly to Japan? Did you have to do
We were
work
going
there?
to originally was gonna shoot in Vancouver. That's
Yeah.
how I got cast because we
Oh,
have
okay.
scenario that sort of looked like Japan too. But
Yeah.
then we were gonna go to Japan, but then it was just too expensive to shoot there.
Yeah.
And then they ended up going back to Oregon, which was a work to rule state. So it allowed us, and they have beautiful settings. I mean, the
Yeah.
Astoria where we shot it, they actually created a Japanese village, what was it, a 14th century or 15th century Japanese village,
Yeah.
absolutely authentic to So if you watch
Wow.
Turtles 3,
Yeah.
that set was literally created by masters of that era. And
Oh, wow.
so every detail, it was like honestly, I
Yeah.
every time I got to go up there and shoot, it was just like whoa,
Yeah.
because it was just there was this thing about it, right? Because it was real, it was authentic, right?
Yeah. You are
Oh yeah.
seriously making me want to go and watch the Turtles
Oh,
movie again.
dude,
I'm gonna have
dude.
to, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember when it came out. That's got to have been 1992, 93.
Yeah.
For yourself, though, Matt, when you're in that turtle suit and you're doing these long hours and everything else, how do you get your performance across being behind a suit?
The road to even getting the role,
Yeah,
I had to read, like I said, I probably watched Turtles 1 because that was the first one, and that was,
yeah,
where I think they just absolutely knocked it out of the park
yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the suits and all
Oh,
the acting.
unbelievable, unbelievable.
So that's what I did. I literally watched, like, I know that Turtles 1 verbatim, right? So I could emulate, say in this case, Raphael,
Yeah.
and what the guy who did it before me did, and just incredible job. Because as an actor, I wanted to obviously do what I was going to lend to it, but I also wanted to respect the path that had already been
The,
laid out,
yeah,
as
yeah.
well as they wanted that too, right?
Yeah. Was that more difficult though? Because if you're following on from the previous two movies, if you're following on from somebody that's already laid the foundations of this is who Raphael is, this is what I've got to portray. Did you find that one you had to follow the suit, or was you able to bring your own kind of connotation and your own kind of
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, just being me. They didn't want us to. We didn't have to imitate what the other guys did.
yeah,
It was more of a sense of emulate and bring your own takes to it because you're gonna do that anyhow, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was no, it was the gig in the moment that I swear to God, David, I had no idea how much. Because like I said, I don't follow industry papers. I
Yeah,
like honestly when you say things, millions and millions of fans around the world, it didn't really land until we were actually filming. And we
yeah,
had thousands of kids with their parents showing up every day to try
yeah,
and just get a glimpse of the turtles. And
yeah,
some of my favorite moments were actually when we were having a break between, so they were setting up the next shot or whatever.
yeah,
Literally, I'd be so hot but so happy.
yeah,
My puppeteer would say, "Hey Matt, I'd hear this in my earpiece. Matt, there's two kids beside you, with their parents. Just do this or whatever." Because I couldn't see anybody, right? Because I'd have the head on, so I'd hear often, and then I'd have pictures later that like streams of kids and their parents would come in and get pictures with the turtles, right?
wow,
Which was so amazing. We had butted so many different times because we couldn't literally see. You'll see underneath the bandana, you'll see a little slit. And that was where we could kind of sort of see if we sort of squinted the right way. We had to be big in attitude and energy.
yeah,
We also had to be within the realms of these characters, right? So we
absolutely.
had to sell it, but at the same time, we had to make it so authentic.
When the movie come out then, Matt, what was that like? Did you have like the big premiere as you do, the red carpet event? Like,
It
was
was
that a
awesome.
surreal moment for you?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and then to see yourself and like, oh, I've produced this, something that's, it's a legacy movie.
Oh yeah.
People
Yeah. Oh,
love
definitely.
it from the 90s, it's a great film. And yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, no, 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 that's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's always such a joy to be. What I've always realized, I mean, I'm okay watching my own stuff, but I don't get that lift the way when I love when I'm watching stuff that I get invited to, when
yeah,
I see other people's reaction to it, or if other people you can see, like what I loved being, say at the premiere for Turtles, as you're saying, to see the kids with their parents in front of me and their reactions,
yeah,
especially say when I had a line or when I'm doing my thing, I
yeah,
could tell. I was like, "Nice job, Matt Hill. You did a good job." You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Because it's kind of honoring that role in the best way that you can put your stamp on it, right?
yeah,
If
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. It's so fascinating, Matt, with to be and to do that, and and then it's led to so many other things as well, Matt. I mean, now. you are doing the voiceover for the cartoon of Ed, Ed, and Eddie. And do you want to tell some of our viewers, listeners about that as well?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, to, it's funny because those two in particular, getting to be part of the Ninja Turtles franchise had gifts, like you're saying, is still, presenting itself to these days. Because, it's like the warrior code of the turtles that, kind of like that. It's like how I try to live my life as well, right? Like stay fit, be good to people, help little old ladies cross the street. You know what I mean? Donate to people, feed people when they're not expecting it. And that has then led to, say, with my voiceover stuff, getting to play Ed, which is just such a gift. It's, I because he's probably more like me as a human being. Ed, like he just wants to hug the world. His joy is so authentic, and that's usually me, except for when I'm trying to figure out technical stuff. But that's a whole other no problem.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. But for real, getting to play Ed, it has been such a beautiful gift. That we, like everything, it took a while to sort of get the stride going on it.
Yeah.
But once kind of he had hit his, all his Edisms, and all the way that he kind of sees the world. I remember Danny saying, "You're the only actor I'll ever tell this to. Don't read the script beforehand," which as an actor, you have to read the script, right? Because you have to know what you're going to say or what you're going to do. But after the first few episodes of trying to record the first, say, three shows, because I studied Ed, I knew every effect that they wanted him to come into the scene with, and it was wrecking that performance of him. Literally, like Danny said, he said, "I want Ed to literally feel like, for everybody watching, like he's just coming in from below, or he's coming in from above, or he's slamming the wall from behind you." And it's all unexpected ways that he says things, or the way that his take on the world. So he said, "Don't read the script." So for the 8 seasons, every time we had a recording, I was literally, because as an actor, I was scared, because
Yeah.
you want to kind of know what you're going to read and do.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nope." I
Wow.
want Ed to be completely like it's the first time he's ever said it. So
And
so
did
I,
that work for you though? Did
oh,
that work?
100%. 100%. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It worked because that's who Ed is at the heart of it. So
Yeah.
the more I sort of pre-prepped how to be spontaneous, totally actually messed it up. Right? So,
Yeah.
for me, just literally going, "Oh, okay, he's going to come in and say, 'I love chickens, Eddie.'" Right? It was so authentic because I was like, "Oh, that's the first time I've read this on the script."
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and now you're also doing conventions,
Yep.
all over in different states. And I mean, I've had the pleasure, absolute pleasure, and I'll put the picture up on the video of meeting you in person, which
Where
was an
we got to
absolute
meet.
honor, a
Yeah.
pleasure. And you was in Telford, Shrewsbury area doing one of your conventions.
Yeah.
And now you're just all over the place at the moment, aren't you, Matt? You're going from one thing to another with these conventions.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so grateful. And it was like, and that was where I knew we were going to be brothers, because you're like, "No, you're going to be in Shrewsbury. We're going to make it down." So thanks again for making the drive that day, because
No, my
like you
pleasure.
said, it's a
We
big deal,
loved
right?
it. We loved it, and it was a great day. And we also
Yeah.
met the voice of Donald Duck. Um,
Absolutely,
yeah.
Sam. That's right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so we got a signed Donald Duck. I'll put a picture up of that as well.
Yep.
Donald Duck. So that was fascinating as well
Oh
in
yeah.
some way. And
Well, it's wild. If I could jump in, it's like the fact that it's wild that I had no idea, once again, how popular all these sort of classic franchises, and especially, say, Ed, Ed and Eddy as an example, or people who are friends of or fans of anime. It's huge.
yeah,
And so I, as an actor, getting to play these roles now, it's like I've had to sometimes pinch myself, because I'm like, people come and they want me to sign their autograph, and then they want me to take their picture. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
It's such a gift.
yeah,
The amount of gratitude that I get to, be spending with all of these people who have grown up watching all the shows I've been a part of. Because
Yeah.
it's a wide variety. It's so
Yeah.
that's what I love, right? So it's
Yeah.
so in order to be able to just go and meet them and actually share a laugh or share a story or
Yeah.
do voices and stuff for them.
Yeah.
I mean, more and more and more, David, I hear kids and who are now parents, or they're bringing their kids to watch it because they want to meet, us or me or whatever the role is. But they really know, they say it's like, these roles really help them get through a tough childhood or a tough period of moving and not feeling like they belonged or, mental health issues
Yeah.
that they literally stayed on the planet because they knew they could watch Ed, Ed and Eddy every
Yeah.
day.
Again, now, Matt, and this is another reason why I wanted to do this interview with you and have this chat with you, because mental health is so important to me,
Oh,
and
huge.
the spiritual side of things as well, which we'll go into more detail shortly about. But it's all about inspiring those that are watching this video, that you've had your challenges as well, you've had your difficulties, but you're also helping people. People say to me about, using the term gifted. I don't like using the word gifted because I think that's saying you're above someone. But, you can help people just because I do spiritual work and I help people heal in one way.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, you can help and heal people in so many different
Oh,
forms,
100%. 100%.
especially in the work that you're doing.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, like you say, it's complementary to our in whatever way we came into this world to elevate the world.
Yeah,
For me, it's
absolutely.
all about doing that, right? And
Yeah.
like you're saying, the work you do, so like our first reading, same thing. It's like I had gone through a massive
Yeah.
few years of challenges,
Yeah.
and it finally culminated with having to move.
And it's all about helping people in our own way, isn't it?
I've changed that over the years, saying it just takes a village to raise a human because I'm so grateful I have such an incredible village of humans.
Yeah.
My family, my friends, and I feel like that. It's like you're one of these new parts of the village, right? Because it's people meet when they meet, right?
Yeah.
And it's a big deal, man. So
Yeah.
again, part of my village is my family, my aunt and uncle, and they literally say, okay, you need a new place to live, come stay with us for the summer, and so
Absolutely.
thank you.
Can I just ask though, Matt, for my viewers and people listening, what was the experience like for you having a reading with me? Did it help?
Oh, it was
What?
unreal. I've worked with people over the years. Like, yeah, I work with coaches and stuff. That's just who I am, right? And so when I got to do one with you, there was something in me. I was like, because my friend Claire, who I went to high school with, she's like, "Hey, I had this reading." When she did the post on Facebook, I was like, something in me went, "Oh my God, I need to get a reading from that guy in the UK." And so I'm so glad I did.
Your energy was totally different to where you are now, and just to feel your energy shifting so much.
Oh,
And
100%.
I mean, we speak quite regularly now anyway, and I love it when you'll be like, "Dude, let's have a turtle meetup." We'll have a, like I
Yeah.
need a bit of direction and stuff. And
Yeah.
I just want to talk about something here as well, Mac. We were speaking about it earlier about about perseverance, about keep pushing forward. And we felt like, dude, this is it, this is great. And then it turns out maybe it's not so great. But the point is, though, you don't then stop and say, well, okay, that's not for me. You're
Yeah.
just like, they're not the right, I'm the wrong character for what they're after. So now I've got to find the people that are after the character that I play or the
Yeah.
role that I play. So it's just about perseverance and keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, it's wild because I'm like literally 45 years professionally in the business. And so I'm like, and I still have my same agency that I had. So my film and TV side of things, even though that's been a little quiet, but from my own choosing in the last few years.
Yeah.
But I still do voiceover through characters. And
Yeah.
so I take a lot of pride in the fact that I've also stuck it out through long periods where there was a lot of changes that were happening. And
Yeah.
but in terms of also persevering, so my learning curve has had to be sometimes I need to let go of situations and
Yeah.
people when they've kind of maybe run their course, right?
Yeah.
but it's a balance, right?
Yeah,
Because like I
absolutely.
say,
Got to listen to your own intuition. And this is what I'm always saying to people: listen to your
yeah,
own intuition,
you
listen to
gotta
that
trust
good,
it. Yeah,
the
absolutely.
intuition, that gut feeling. And
Yeah,
like yourself, the amount of times that me, Megan, or whoever it may be, you always seem to, oh yeah, but we'll give it one last chance or whatever. And it's like, no, like, it's there for
yeah,
a reason. Listen to
yeah,
it. And that's why now I'm just like, if it doesn't fit me or it's not what I'm about or anything, if my intuition tells me, I'll
oh,
walk away. And
100%.
that's really, really important. What message would you say to people who are watching, Matt, for anybody that's an admirer of yours in terms of your work and, who might, your fans? What message do you have for those? And what message do you have for those who are on the acting path or going into the
Mm,
entertainment industry? What advice or something could you tell them just to, if they're finding it difficult or hard?
you prefaced it really beautifully because it's like trust in your intuition. Be in charge of what you can change. And so if it means you got to change something that your approach, or if you need to change agency, or if you just need to get to class more, or if you just need to figure out the to-dos that are for you to take care of, get on it. For me, it's always been about like healing, evolving, sharing my heart, sharing
Yeah,
my voice, sharing my love of
yeah,
people, this planet. And for me personally, this message of going, you know what, we're here for an incredible finite amount of time. Make it the best it can be while we're here. This word is definitely an ode to my dad. My dad, Dave Hill, he was a master at making people feel good in his
yeah,
presence. So I remember, my learning curve with him was I want to be more like my dad. And so I literally, I was so grateful because I got to be his best friend before he passed away. A long, long, long time ago.
yeah,
But it was an ode to my dad that I'm able to now say, okay, I always call it pulling a Dave. So, be kind to the girl in the bake shop that's working her butt off,
yeah,
right? And because you literally might absolutely make their day,
yeah,
right? So because I watched my dad going like, in that
yeah,
what do you call it, in the Yorkshire accent, he'd be like,
yeah,
like, oh, I'm good, he'd be totally tongue in cheek, but as a 10-year-old, I was like, oh my God, he's the greatest guy in the world because he had a way of like that making people feel elevated in his presence. I mean, we could probably do a whole hour, David, on the amount of times I face planted literally
yeah,
in my life because I was trying to do something better, or like for whatever reason, technology has always been my learning curve,
yeah,
right? But it's unreal because it just teaches you, okay, well, just like me being an athlete, you got to go one step at a time. We have 5 words that my first track coach ever gave to me that this
go
is how I
ahead.
live because I so wanted to run the best I could. So run, 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 run. But when I would fail, and I call it face plant, right? I was so hard on myself so quickly that I was just like, no, I'm no good. I can't, can't do this anymore. And God bless my coach, Judy Bowling, rest in heaven. Um, she said to me, and I'll never forget it. She said, all right, Mr. Hill, when you're ready, pick yourself up, dust yourself off,
Yeah,
try one more run.
yeah,
And I've literally, that's been my motto for every time I face plant physically or face plant emotionally
yeah.
in my life. It's like, okay, sometimes, sorry, did I just work?
You take it.
But sometimes life does that for us, right?
Yeah,
So you gotta just, okay, so it's like that. I take Judy's, advice, pick myself up, dust myself off, try one more run, you know?
absolutely love that.
When we ran around North America, so
Yeah,
like literally that 18,000 miles, or sorry, 11,000 miles. I
wow.
got the kilometers mixed up, but so the 11,000 mile run around North America,
Yeah,
that motto, literally one step at a time, and I mean it literally. And Judy's motto saying, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, try one more step,
yeah,
was literally sometimes all I could do to move forward because that task of running around our continent was so mondo that sometimes that's the only way that my brain could literally go, okay. And running across the country, which is massive, I'd be
yeah,
like, okay, pick myself up, dust myself off, take
Yeah.
one more run. And I actually was Ed a lot of the time too. I was like literally, I'd be like, okay, buddy boy, dust yourself off, pick
Yeah,
yourself up, take one
yeah,
step forward. And then now I've added repeat, right? Because you want to keep going.
absolutely. So inspirational though, Matt. And again, this is why I wanted to speak to you. But before we do wrap up though,
Thank
Matt,
you.
can we show some of the people, some of the things that you've got behind you, like how do they
Oh,
what is
yeah.
yeah, let's show some of the
What do you
viewers.
want to see? You want to see, well, there's like, well, you know that guy. There's, so
Well,
is that the
just
angle or is that the angle? Oh, yeah, yeah, you got that.
yeah. So,
There.
Raphael, something I
And
treasure and keep with me at all times.
then this is my Ed that just arrived after 25 years, the anniversary. So it still blows my mind that people want me to actually sign things on this.
Oh, wow.
And then they what is it called? But they remunerate me for it. It blows my mind. And
Yeah,
the amount of gratitude that comes from that is just
yeah,
it's such a gift. And then got my this one, I gotta say, this one, this so this for the run around North America. So this was one of my proudest moments in my life. Like I say, when we had decided to run around North
yeah,
America, we had no idea how we were going to do it.
yeah.
I just knew that okay, was something I literally was feeling.
So why did you want to do that then, Matt? Why did you want to do the run? Where did that
Oh,
all come
because
from?
I wanted to do something in the footsteps of who's one of my personal heroes. His name's Terry Fox. And so in 1980, he ran across Canada only on one leg because he had cancer. And
Wow.
so he literally changed my life as a 10-year-old because I watched this guy who went from not being a runner to literally running across our country in the spirit of not wanting any other child to go through what he went through. So for me, it was knowing at some point I wanted to do something with I guess, my running abilities. Because I'm not fast. I'm not an Olympic athlete that way, but I know I got to be a really great runner of literally putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, Steph and I, who was the most incredible partner to do something like this with, who actually left her life as well when I asked her to come and do it with me. Um, she said, "Yeah, I'm in," and I love it because she said, "You know what? I love crazy people, and I love what you're doing." And so, so it took us 2 years to build it, train for it, and then in 2008, May 4th, 2008, we took off and we ran 11,000 miles across Canada and then around the perimeter of the U.S. And 369 days later, so on May 8th, 2009, we crossed the finish line, right?
wow.
And literally that was like 22 about 22 million steps is what it took, is what we figured out with with the how far a step is and this and
Yeah.
that. So I'm not kidding you guys, it works. Like take it one step at a time.
You found your difficulties and
Oh,
you got through
absolutely.
them and now
Oh,
you are.
absolutely. And then I got to show this one because I'm really 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 I'm very proud of this one, and I just found this one as I was actually undigging stuff from this new place. And this was in effort of all of our steps. So when we ran around North America, and again, you never know where your dreams are going to land for people.
Yeah.
And so it took about 7 years after we finished doing the run. I got a call from the Governor General of Canada,
Wow.
their office, and they had done, somebody had nominated Steph and I for what they call the Governor General Meritorious Service Medal. And it was for the impact that we had with the kids.
Yeah.
And so it was, so I guess so 7 years about to the day, then we found ourselves in Ottawa,
Yeah.
and we went and we got the Governor General's Medal Service Award. So, and that was for basically all the impact of the positive that we had on the kids of Canada and of
Yeah.
America.
Amazing. It's been an absolute pleasure and
Thanks, man.
really has been a pleasure and an honor and so inspirational. And I hope that anybody watching now takes inspiration from this and it helps them on their path. So you can help people in all walks of life. And again, it's just been a pleasure to meet you and become what I
Mm,
would say now a good friend.
Yeah, thank you, brother. It's an honor. It's so funny. Like I said, I remember the first time we met. I was like, "Man, that dude is so cool." And then, like you're saying, it's just like to then now become your friend as well as
Yeah,
also
yeah.
when we do the. I love that. It's just like, can we do a reading? Can we do the cards? Then you're like, let's see what you got going on here, Turtle Brother.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's yeah. So
No,
thank you, my friend.
no, thank
Oh,
you. Thank
yeah.
you.
So I say, hey, believe in yourself. Ed says, keep kicking your feet towards your dreams. And Raph says, take care of yourself and the planet and your mother.
Cowabunga, dude.
Cowabunga, dude. Cowabunga.